Hello, I'd like to introduce you to supercharge your immune system. My name is Rosemary Manners, and I'm talking with my co-presenter Sarah Woolner, and we want to introduce you to immunity and how you can boost it and look at the drivers that are pulling down your immunity and improve it.
Okay, hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to be talking to you about our diet, the nutrients that support our immune system, and I'll also go through some of the top immune foods and some of the herbal medicines we like to use. So I'll start with the diet. Why is our diet important for immune health? Well, the food that we eat is our most important source of our nutrients, and like all other organ systems in our body, our immune cells require nutrients to function optimally. And the types of food that we eat can also impact our immune system, both in a positive way and a not so positive way. So let's look at some of the essential nutrients for our immune system. Okay, I've got a picture here of carrots, and I want you all to just have a think about what nutrient might be found in carrots. Okay, so for those of you that might have guessed, we find beta-carotene, which is converted to vitamin A in the body. So vitamin A is really important for the integrity of our mucosal surfaces. So these are the surfaces that line our nasal passages, respiratory tract, and also our digestive tract. So vitamin A, it's also really important for the function of our immune cells, and we know that deficiency impairs the immune function, which increases our risks for getting infections. So beta-carotene, and this is a form of vitamin A that we find in plant foods, and enzymes in our body convert the beta-carotene into vitamin A. And it's really interesting to know that we need adequate zinc for this function to happen properly. So some of the food sources, vitamin A we find in animal products, so things like dairy, eggs, fish, meat, and beta-carotene we find mostly in orange plant foods, so carrots, sweet potato, and also some of the greens like spinach, broccoli, and also marine algae. Okay, so I've got some grapefruit and orange in this picture, so we can all pretty much guess what this one is. And it's vitamin C, so one of the most popular immune supplements for boosting the immune function. So the supplemental use of vitamin C is still quite highly debated. However, we do know deficiency increases our susceptibility to infection. Our food sources are our citrus fruits. Kiwi fruits and berries are also a great source, tomatoes, chilies, cauliflower and broccoli as well. And you should know that processing and cooking of foods can significantly reduce our vitamin C content. So it's important to make sure we are getting some of these raw foods in our diet as well. Okay, so just having a look at the role of vitamin C in immune health. A review found that supplementation of vitamin C didn't necessarily reduce the incidence of colds. However, it did find that people that were exposed to severe physical exercise did find a benefit. And it's also important to know that vitamin C has a really important role with the absorption of other nutrients. One in particular is iron. So the iron that we get from plant foods, it increases the absorption of it. And it also improves the bioavailability of folate. And this is a vitamin that's essential for healthy cell division and growth. And this includes immune cells. Okay, so we've got vitamin D, and vitamin D has quite a unique role in immune health as it modulates the immune response. So this means it can ramp it up when it needs to, but in cases of autoimmune disease, it can actually dampen it down. Vitamin D is really important for our first-line immune response following exposure to bacteria and viral pathogens. In the case of autoimmune disease, it can really suppress the part of the immune system that becomes overactive and starts causing the damage. And we know that vitamin D deficiency increases susceptibility to infections as well as increasing the risk of developing autoimmune conditions. So vitamin C, majority of our vitamin D, we get from adequate sun exposure. We do get small amounts in foods such as oily fish, butter, eggs, and some fortified foods. Okay, so I've got a lovely piece of steak there. Any guesses on the mineral we would find in steak? Right, so we would find iron. So iron's probably better known for its role in energy, but it does have a really important role in the immune system as well. We know that iron deficiency impairs our specific immune cell response, and it's also required for the proliferation of immune cells, so making sure these cells are reproducing when they need to be. Interestingly, iron also has a role in the production of vitamin A, similar to the way that zinc does. So if we're getting multiple nutrient deficiencies, you can see how this has quite a knock-on effect. Our best food sources, so we have both animal and plant origins. So animal sources include red meats, such as beef, lamb, organ meats. There's also some iron in chicken, fish, and shellfish. Our non-heme sources, so the plant foods, nuts, seeds, legumes, dried apricots and sun-dried tomatoes are also a good source. Spinach, beetroot, and some of our herbs such as parsley and coriander. And again, consuming vitamin C with these plant sources of iron really bumps up the absorption. Okay, so the picture's not quite clear, but these are Brazil nuts. So any guesses on what mineral we might find in Brazil nuts? Okay, so we've got selenium. And selenium is quite important because Australian soils are typically quite low in selenium. And if we do have selenium deficiencies, it can increase the risk of poor immune function. So we need selenium to make sure that our immune cells are being activated and that they're able to migrate to the source of infection. And selenium is also needed for the production of antibodies and pathogen-specific immune cells. Selenium's also got a really important role in minimising the oxidative cellular damage that occurs with both infection and inflammation. So our best food sources are Brazil nuts. We also find some selenium in cashew nuts, sesame seeds, tahini, which is the sesame seed paste, and seafood, a little bit in red meat, poultry and pork, and then mushrooms as well. Okay, so we've got a picture of an oyster there. Any guesses on what mineral we might find in oysters? Okay, we've got zinc. So zinc is one of the most predominant minerals that we find in our body. It's important for so many of our biochemical processes, and it also has a really big role in our immune function. It's required for mediating our first-line immune response, and it's also required for the development of the more pathogen-specific immune cells. We know that low levels of zinc diminish the immune response, increasing our risk for infection, and we've already discussed that zinc has a really synergistic relationship with other nutrients, and vitamin A in particular. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the gut microbiome and probiotics. So our gut microbiome is the microbes that we have living in our digestive tract, and they make up a huge proportion of our immune system. The types of microbes that we have in our guts do affect how well our immune system works, and they can really be disrupted by the food that we eat, and as well as supplements. So fermented foods provide a small dose of probiotics, but as practitioners we probably prefer to use supplements. We can get higher doses and we can really specify the bacterial strains that we want to use. Probiotic strains are kind of a bit like breeds of dog. They really are quite specific in their actions and in the way that they interact with the immune system. A couple of food sources of probiotics are yogurts and naturally fermented foods such as sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha and kefir. Okay, so when should we supplement to support our immune health? So during periods of stress, stress can really impact how well our immune system functions. So if we are under quite a bit of stress, then it might be an idea to look at supplementing just to help boost the immune function. As I've just discussed with vitamin C, intense physical activity, which is a form of stress, can impact our immune function. And also if you're frequently flying or flying in long distances, being enclosed with a large group of people really increases your risk of infection, so supplement really help there as well. People working in healthcare or childcare, and also children who are picky eaters or children or adults that are constantly sick. And also supplementing during the cold and flu season is always beneficial to boost our immune function. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of our super immune foods. And I want to start by talking about prebiotics. So prebiotics are indigestible sugars or carbohydrates that feed our microbiome, so the good gut bacteria. Keeping these guys well fed definitely supports the immune system. They interact with the immune system, boosting it when it needs to. It also interacts directly with pathogens trying to invade our bodies. And these are really important if we are doing probiotic supplementation. We need to make sure we're giving the probiotics the right food. So we've just got a table here of the prebiotic rich foods. So we've got a few vegetables there: Jerusalem artichoke, the garlic, onion, leek family, asparagus, beetroot and fennel. Legumes and lentils are a great source. We've got some fruits. Breads and cereals, grains are a great source, and a couple of nuts and seeds as well. And then we've got human breast milk, which is really quite essential for infants. Okay, so I start with quite a broad group of colourful fruits and vegetables. So they provide a really wide range of nutrients. And also by combining different vegetables, we can make sure that the uptake's enhanced by combining different nutrients. They're rich in antioxidants, which provides protection against oxidative stress, and they're also a source of prebiotics. Okay, we've got, sorry, I've just been through that. Okay, so anyone can guess this food? It's a little bit obvious, this one. So we've got garlic. Now garlic, as we've just discussed, is a great source of prebiotics, and it also has great antimicrobial activity. It stimulates our macrophages, so they make up part of our first line immune defense. And more recent research has found that the dietary intake of raw garlic actually activates genes involved in immune function. Okay, so this one, we've got ginger. So ginger is a fantastic anti-nausea, anti-emetic spice or herb that we use in natural medicine. It soothes the gastrointestinal symptoms and can be used in cases of gastrobug infection, and it has some antimicrobial properties. It's also a fantastic analgesic and anti-inflammatory. So with colds and flus, it can really help ease the aches and pains, and it's safe and easy to incorporate into our diet. Okay, these are a very fancy type of mushroom. And we've got medicinal mushrooms. So they contain special proteins known as lectins, and these proteins activate our macrophages, they enhance our antibody production, and they have some antiviral activity. So we've got a few species of medicinal mushrooms. So we've got your shiitake mushroom, which you can find in most supermarkets or grocers. We've got the Ganoderma or reishi mushroom, and the Coriolis or the turkey tail, which was the picture in the previous slide. The second two are a little bit harder to find fresh, but you can find them in dried in some stores, or you can also get them in a supplement form. Okay, the good old white button mushroom. So this is kind of considered one of the medicinal mushrooms because it does have benefit for our immune system. It's a plant source of vitamin D, and it also provides us with a little bit of selenium. A clinical trial has shown that 100 grams of mushroom daily increases our secretory IgA. Now, the secretory IgA has a specific role in our mucosal immunity, and by supporting our mucosal immunity, which lines our nasal passages, our lungs, our digestive tract, this can really help reduce the susceptibility to infections. Okay, so I've just gone through all that. Okay, so we've got fish and shellfish. So this group of foods are a really important source of selenium and also zinc, and both of these nutrients are really important to immune health. They also provide a little bit of iron, a little bit of vitamin A and vitamin D, but particularly in the oily fish. You'll find these, and they're also a source of our really lovely anti-inflammatory omega-3 fats. So we're going to have a look at some foods that we really need to moderate in the diet, and these foods have quite a significant impact on the way our immune system can work. So we'll start with sugar. Sugar disrupts our healthy bacteria, increases our risk for infection. It can contribute to inflammation, and we know that inflammation really makes it hard for our immune system to work properly. Some sugar alternatives, you could look at stevia or xylitol, and also using whole fruits and fruit purees, particularly with kids, is a really great way to sweeten dishes, and also raw honey and manuka honey. And the honeys also have their own antimicrobial properties. Processed foods is another one. So they're typically high in sugar and high in poor quality fats, and both of these disrupt our good gut bacteria, and they generally lack the important nutrients, so like fibre and our vitamins and minerals. As an alternative, try and make your own yummy snacks. There's loads of recipes online, and that way you control what goes into your snack food. Okay, we've also got alcohol. So the chronic heavy intake of alcohol significantly impairs our immune function. It's also been shown to reduce our response to vaccinations. The excessive intake disrupts the microbiome balance, and also having alcohol at night time can disrupt our sleep quality. And disrupting sleep quality will then have that knock-on effect of lowering our immune function. So we can make alcohol part of a healthy diet, so we need to practice moderation. We need a minimum of 2 to 3 alcohol-free days a week, and enjoy your beverages with a meal. So having it with a meal helps protect against irritation of the digestive mucosa, and also minimises the effect it can have on our gut bacteria. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our favourite herbal medicines for supporting the immune system, and ones that we would use in infections as well. Okay, so can anyone guess what this beautiful flower might be? It's echinacea. So echinacea is one of our best immune herbs. It boosts our immune cell responses to infectious pathogens, and it also stimulates our lymphatic system. Now, our lymphatic system transports our immune cells around the body, and it also transports the waste products of attempted infection that the immune cells break down. So it's really important for keeping things moving. Echinacea is quite a different herb. We can use it both to boost the immune system and also dampen it down when we need to, such as autoimmune disease, and also in allergies. It's anti-inflammatory, so it can really help aid the healing process. Okay, anyone recognise the berries? So we have elderberry, and this is probably one of the most commonly known and researched of the herbal medicines. It's got quite significant antiviral activity. So it works by impairing how the virus can attach to our cells, and it also interferes with how the virus can replicate. And there was a very recent clinical trial that showed it reduced the severity and duration of cold and flu symptoms. So this is definitely one you want to get onto if you're struck down with a cold or flu. Okay, we also have elderflower. So elderflower is from the same plant as elderberry, and traditionally it was used in the treatment of colds and flu. It has an anti-catarrhal action, meaning that it reduces and thins mucus secretions. So this is great for the congestive symptoms of colds and flus, sinusitis, and also in hay fever and allergies. It also has some antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, which again helps with that recovery and healing process. Okay, and pelargonium is probably one of my favourite herbs to use with kids. It's frequently used for coughs associated with upper respiratory tract infections and also acute bronchitis. So this herb has expectorant properties, meaning that it enhances the clearance of mucus. It's also been shown to stimulate the immune response, so it can fight off bacterial or viral pathogens much better. And there have been many clinical trials done on pelargonium, particularly in reducing symptoms of acute bronchitis, colds and flus, and also nasal congestion. Okay, so here we have a lovely recipe for an immune boosting soup, and it contains quite a few of the superfoods that we've discussed. This is perfect for a wintertime soup, and you can definitely use this with the whole family. Okay, at the pharmacies we have a few herbal tonics that are great for boosting the immune system and providing a little bit of relief where needed.
Hello, my name is Rosemary Manners and I'm going to look at the drivers. But before I start looking at the drivers, I want to introduce you to my mind map. And you can see it up on the screen now. And I think it's important to understand a mind map when you're coming to sort of understand a little bit more about health. So health is not about the first supplement that you come along, or it's not like the medication the doctor's prescribed. Health is a really big, huge map like you can see on the screen. And you can look down, if you follow the little blue lines, you work down to that little green sort of square. And it's good to have a really good plan that's comprehensive so that you're always working towards the value of health. So in the little pink circles is the idea to start writing down your ideas. So you might think of some testing that will be helpful. So white blood cells, if you're continually sick, it's interesting to look at your white blood cells. It's interesting to look at your level of inflammation. So that testing that you might put down in the circles. Nutrition, you've just heard from Sarah, heaps of nutritional ideas. So you might have picked up one or two that you can put in that circle. Evidence-based supplements, we're really interested in really pinpointing the supplements that will make a difference. There's lifestyle changes, there's exercise changes. Yoga's an interesting one. Like there's a lot of talk about yoga and how we move our positions and all the different positions of yoga. But the actual definition of yoga is looking for the spaces between your thoughts. So to me, yoga is where I have an actual practice of calming my mind and looking for those spaces. So it might be a pose, it might be a meditation, it might be sitting in a quiet corner, it might be going for a walk and hugging a tree. Whatever it is that for you, it's important to have some sort of plan in there. And you can see all the other topics. The mindset very much is what's happening in your mind is very much is what's happening in your whole body. When you come out with emotions or different ideas, or like the first question is, who chooses your emotion in the morning? Who chooses how you're going to feel all day? That's right, it's you. And how you choose and what emotions you choose will create different neurotransmitters in your brain. So Bruce Lepton did the research behind this, and what he proved is on every cell, I've got 50 trillion cells, and every cell has a cell membrane. And on that cell membrane are receptors for a whole lot of different things, but one of the receptors is for my neurotransmitters. So that shows me that whatever I choose as my emotion for the day or how I'm feeling as the day is then super programmed into my 50 trillion cells. And so I want to be very careful with what program I choose. And sometimes there's some strategies around that. I might come up with some reminders about that, and I'll put that in that little pink circle there. The idea of this whole idea is to work your way through, and you've got lots of pink things, and then you suddenly think, well, that's very overwhelming. How am I going to fit that into 24 hours? Already my day is completely packed. And so the idea of the stars down below is to fit 10 easy things to do. So when we look at the work, Fogg's one of my favourite behavioural psychologists, and he's into positive psychology. He's created a behavioural pattern. And you can see here that if you choose hard to do things, you need huge motivation, very high motivation, and you might never get to that action line. Whereas if you choose low motivation things that are easy to do, you just do them. You don't even really have to find very much motivation. So my 5 easy things to do is maybe under nutrition, I might be saying I need more superfoods, I need more extra bits. And my little easy things to do might be to eat an orange a day. Like, you just find 10 easy things to do that you can easily do each day. I find it quite helpful, especially in the beginning, to tick it off each day so that I know that I'm moving towards my value of health. And then I sort of suggest that you review this whole mind map at least once a week or once a fortnight and change the things. If you're finding that you thought an orange was very easy to eat, but all the supermarkets seem to be out of oranges, it's very easy to change it to another easy to do thing so that you're always working in the right direction. So that's my mind map, and I'd like to introduce that into your life. And the more you introduce it into your life and the more you focus on immunity, the stronger you'll get to do with your immune system. So I'm just going to list little yoga to the rescue. So this is a little study. There's millions out there. I'm actually in a yoga feed, and every day I seem to see a new study that's proven how yoga is better at something. But this is how yoga improves pain and well-being in rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis in just 8 weeks. That's really quick. So there's a lot out there to make sure that that yoga circle is part of what you're doing each day. So what we're really here to talk about is addressing multiple pathogens while supporting and regulating the immunity. And already you've got some great ideas from Sarah, but I just want to build on that and build on the drivers around it. So what we want to focus on is reducing the microbial load, controlling the inflammation, stimulating immunity, so that's increasing our resistance to infection, supporting our mitochondria. So the mitochondria are the little organelles in all our cells, so that 50 trillion cells all have a little mitochondria on, and the mitochondria is where all the energy and the power pack of the cell. So very often when I'm sick, I get tired, and then I sort of find it very hard to move ahead. Well, if I support my mitochondria, then I'm likely to have a bit more energy, and it also supports the energy that cell can put in towards the immune system and immune competence. I want to support my immune tolerance, so increase my immune resistance, so that's very much looking at our microbiome. And I want to support digestion, gut health and detoxification. So Sarah's already talked about the microbiome. So the microbiome, everybody's got a huge microbiome. It's about 4 kilos of bacteria in your gut, and it talks to the gut lining. So it's like 2 Siamese twins. If your gut's not working very well, then your microbiome's not. And the microbiome's not working well, then your immune system. The immune system, 70% of the immune system is in the walls of the gut. So very much it's like Siamese twins. I want my immune system working, I want my gut working, I want them talking to each other, and I want them to build up the greatest resilience that I possibly can. Establishing the healthy terrain. So we've already started looking for that by looking at the mind map. So we want our dietary, we want our lifestyle, we want our stress management. We want it all to support us in our focus on immunity. So I'm just going to go through each of these individually. So reducing your microbial load. So that's the obvious thing that we like to do. So we like to reduce the viruses, the bacteria, the protozoa, the parasites, anything that's living within us, and the funguses, anything that's living within us that really shouldn't be there or is not helping us to our health, we don't really want them there. So we've come up with some great strategies. There are a few antiviral drugs, but really the medical world doesn't have a lot of answers for virus, but we're really lucky because we've got some great herbs. So I've put the 4 best herbs into Vanquisher. It's a herbal tonic, really good at stopping those viral infections. We've also got the support of the mushroom. So we've got super mushroom complex, and we've got mushroom drops, we've got mushroom aid. We've got a few really key supplements that we can really boost your white blood cell count and reduce the viruses. Herpes, the Vanquisher is active against the herpes virus. We've also got lysine, vitamin C, and zinc, which is specific for the herpes virus. Gut infections, we've got some antimicrobial herbs that Sarah's already talked to you about. We often get resistant gut and systemic infections, IBS. We've got great herbs for that too. You can see that we really love herbs because there's some great answers in the herbal world. Fungal infections, we actually use Ballardi, S. Ballardi for that. It's often put in with the probiotics in the same bucket of probiotics. It's not really a probiotics. It's not putting the good stuff in. It actually goes in and it kills the bad stuff, but it's very specific for fungal infections that might be there. So step one, we want to reduce your microbial load. These are just some interesting studies, the percentage of MS patients with microbial infections. And so you can see from this graph, people with chronic disease tend to have a lot of extra microbials that they're carrying around. And so by reducing the load is going to make a big difference. You can see those mycoplasmas are really high. Over 50% of people with MS seem to have very high mycoplasmas. This is the same sort of study group, and they looked at chronic fatigue syndrome, and again you can see they're carrying a huge microbial load. The mycoplasma seems to be the highest, but you can still see 30% of viruses in there. There's chlamydia, there's Borrelia. So there's a lot of load there that the body has to cope with before it even starts with anything else. The next strategy we want to do is to reduce as much inflammation in the body. So you often see inflammation markers on your blood test. If you look for C-reactive protein, you can see if it's above 5, you've got a lot of inflammation. The other thought of inflammation is if you've got pain or aches and pains, that's usually a good indication that there's inflammation happening. So we've got some great foods for inflammation. The herbs that are our favourite is obviously turmeric. We've got 4,700 studies telling us how fantastic turmeric is. Boswellia is another strong herb. Fish oil will reduce inflammation, get to as much clean fish oils with the highest EPA and DHA that you can find. And we also have a new magnesium that's just hit the market. And it's a magnesium supplement which in itself will help, but it's in the same supplements as a lot of pain relief cofactors in there. So that's your sort of your medicinal recipe to help reduce inflammation in the body. We want to stimulate immunity, so we've got our great super immune foods, we've got our mushrooms, we've got vitamin C and zinc, but there's a brand new probiotic on the market too that will enhance it's a probiotic specifically for enhancing immunity. So that's definitely something worthwhile coming to look at us about. So when we change our diet, we're wondering how long it takes. People often say, well, I've got a new diet now, and how long is it going to take before I get a great sort of microbiome and things start changing for our immune system? Well, here's a study, 1 week. So pretty good. If you change your diet and completely sort of adapt this whole food, the great foods that Sarah's talked about, they can test your microbiome a week later and it'll be significantly different. So that's very exciting news that it's not this long-term strategy. And I find in my clinic, I change people's we look at the mind map, we change a few things about the diet, we clean things up. It takes a week before people come back and say, I feel different. So don't despair, we can change everything for a period of time. Supporting mitochondria, so that's the energy part of the cell. So there's a special magnesium that's come out that's an energy boosting magnesium. Lipids and trichotriols will help. Coenzyme Q10. I've also come out with a energizer tonic. There's a tea coming too. It contains 3 herbs, rhodiola, licorice, and romania, and they're fantastic adrenal herbs to get the mitochondria and a bit more energy happening within your cells. We want to talk about support immune tolerances, and there's specific probiotics for this. The probiotic world is accelerating at a very fast rate. Big Pharma and the nutritional companies are all looking for specific probiotics which will help specific health conditions. But I just wanted to show you a picture. I know it's not such a good picture because I've stolen it from somewhere, but what I really want to show you is how close, like your immune cells are just inside these pink villi, and these are pink villi are just inside your digestive tract. So you can see how close you are, where the microbes sit along the outside of the pink, and your immune system's just inside. So they're talking to each other all day long. The other interesting thing is in supporting immune tolerance is your vitamin D. So the cells sit along the cell membrane, and they're all tied together with an elastic band of vitamin D. If you're low with vitamin D, the cells get a little bit sort of, things can leak in through your cells, and so the communication between the immune system and the gut becomes very accelerated, and the immune system has to keep on reacting to these still micro-sized proteins, but these proteins that are sort of coming through the perforated walls, and they have to react all the time. So vitamin D is really an important thing, and getting your vitamin D levels checked next time you do your blood test to make sure that they're up to where they should be. So this that just supports that. It looks at autoimmune disease prevalence, and it increases with latitude. So that's really because, of course, vitamin D comes from the sun. So you can see sort of quite clearly that vitamin D is a vitamin that's very important for your immune system. So in our clinic, we work a lot on digestion. We want to take out the garbage. We want to clean up the digestive system. We've got, I think, 7 different programs to clean within. The Express program is just a 2-week program. You can buy it off the shelf. And after 2 weeks, my clients come back to me and say, well, gosh, I've never felt like this before. So it's worthwhile doing that, or come in and have some testing done. There might be a more specific program for you. We run a 6-week programs that help with livers, they help with guts, they help with toxicity. We have an integrated detox program. So come in and talk to us and find out the specific program for you. Your immunity is definitely, I see it a lot with sinusitis. My clients are getting sort of sick sinusitis. Once every 2 months, the sinusitis will hit, and they'll be eating a lot of antihistamines and trying to manage life with nasal sprays. They'll come in and do a Clean Within Express program, and they're lucky if they get 1 or 2 sinus attacks a year. Like the episodes just go down. You might be still reactive to a particular pollen that comes around, but your immune system doesn't react to such a big degree. So managing the terrain. So we've got lots of strategies of managing the terrain. My mind map is my best strategy, and I love that, and I'd like to encourage you to really encompass that. But we've got lots of helpers. We've got lots of other programs that can really help if you're stuck in a particular area. So I've actually written a book. It's one of the bestsellers up on Amazon. It's still available up there, and it's called Happiness Within. I've also run a program called Happiness Within, and it's looking at sort of your emotions, your negative emotions, and if you get stuck with depression or anxiety or any mental health sort of barrier, it's a great program. There's a bit of homework. You do your homework, come back, and it just teaches you more tools. It adds to your toolbox to sort of make things a little bit more stable. Then within is our weight loss program. Definitely body fat. Body fat is very inflammatory. Carrying around extra body fat increases your inflammatory markers. Your immune system can't fire quite as well. So a strategy might be to burn 5 kilos in 5 weeks. My Healthy Ever After program, which is my most popular program, is a program where you come for monthly checkups. So each month you come for checkups, you get free workshops. We've got a new offer just coming in place where you get 10% off your Metagenics when you buy them online. So there's a lot of extras that you get in the Healthy Ever After Club. We run a yoga studio, so when we're looking at that circle with yoga, there's some great strategies in there with classes and workshops and retreats. 2 retreats that we're doing this year is one's to Bali. Bali is all about meditation. It's about coming back with a certificate of meditation so that you can take it back to your own workplace. The Ayurvedic program is run out of India, and it's treating your health from an Ayurvedic point of view. Ayurveda is the medicine of India, and it's thousands of years old, and we work with an Ayurvedic doctor there that's got everybody firing on all cylinders by the time we leave. So I put together a bit of a program that will address all the drivers that we've talked about. So we want to reduce your microbial load. So within this package are all these extra things. So we want to reduce your microbial load. So there's a vanquisher tonic and a super mushroom complex. We want to reduce your inflammation. So there's a flavonoid sustained care, which is a product really high with turmeric and boswellia. We want to still stimulate your immunity, and we're using Ultraflora Enhance, that new probiotic I mentioned. We want to get your mitochondria supported with Energizer Tonic. We want to support your digestion, and we're using a tablet called Digestix. It's got 3 or 4 herbs that are just targeted on getting that digestive juices and digestion working a little bit better. We've got tea recipes. We've got a program guide in it. You can buy it straight from the counter, or you can book in to see either Sarah or myself and get a little bit more information, or to work out whether it's the right program for you. But the program itself costs $195. So it's a great way of finding that you are getting recurrent immune conditions. So in the pharmacy, we see it quite often, where a 3-day cold, or people are still coughing and spluttering after 6 weeks. That's not normal. It might be common, but it's not normal. So when you get a cold, you'd expect to be able to throw it off within less than a week. So if you're finding it's really dragging along, well, this is the pack for you. So thank you very much. I hope we've given you some really good ideas and really good strategies around your immune system. We'd love to see you in clinic. So pop into clinic and talk to Sarah and I, and we'll just give you even more ideas. So see you soon in clinic. Thank you very much.